Hello everyone, this is Irina Benedict, and today I'm here with another episode of the Entrepreneur Enlightenment TV and another guest that I have, Christina. Hi Christina.
Hello Irina.
It's such a pleasure to have you here, and we just been through Easter as you know, and I had meditated so much on the Jesus story. And I know that we've been together for 3 years and you've been a member of the Entrepreneur Enlightenment Academy. And I knew that you have a PhD in spirituality. So as I was meditating, I thought, who is the better person to help me and the viewers understand what did we have to learn from Jesus' crucifixion and how this can help us? So if you first introduce yourself and then we will go into the questions. I just wanted to let the viewers know what we're talking about today. So
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm Christina and my Christina Sergi, and I've been a spiritual teacher for a few years, but I've been mostly saying it for a few years because I was actually teaching yoga meditation while I was doing my PhD. But anyway, now today I can even more manifest who I truly am by saying that I am a spiritual teacher, which I was afraid of before, and saying that I help people to connect to their own soul. And so within this connection, I help them also to receive higher energies, like divine energy, like Christic energy, Christ energy, which we need to go through our own lower self to succeed also in life exteriorly, as within our soul, as to evolve within our soul. So both sides work. So that's what I do. I help interconnection and integrating higher energies.
yeah. And it's interesting that your name is Christina and you were called into this life to teach about Christic energies, and it's because I know we've been working together. So I want to let everybody know who has difficulty calling themselves spiritual teachers. I myself had a difficulty when I received the message to call my coaching to say it's entrepreneur enlightenment, because I say, like, who am I to teach enlightenment? Like, I have an engineering background and I cannot say I'm enlightened, but through the journey I am becoming more. I don't know if this is same for you, through the journey of being a spiritual.
Yeah, that's the idea, is that it's not the result, totally the result that brings you into inner bliss. It's more that what you feel inside while you are doing it, that gives you the happiness you need to go on doing what you do.
Yes, yeah. And I know you've been teaching spirituality and you wrote how many books? 3?
Yeah, well, I have 2 books, and one is gonna be, one was edited by a French editor, the other one I did myself, but now it's another editor will take it. And I did a spiritual journal recently, and I really like doing product, did cards with harmonizing our inner energy. So I like to do product also, yes, and spiritual to help people.
Cards. And you are doing them in French because you live in Quebec, but soon
Yes.
I heard you will do them in English as well, like in a little while.
Yeah, well, I can do it also in English, and I've been having someone translating the book I recently did in French, so I'm getting there.
Yeah, yes, and I'm happy you were doing the interview in English because I know you're doing other interviews in French.
Yes.
But I wanted to you to connect with the community of entrepreneurs, and let's go into the topic of Jesus and of the Easter and of the crucifixion. So I will let you take the first, like tell us the story or tell us what do you want us to know first about this topic?
Well, okay. Maybe I'll start just with the fact that often people will have an inner dilemma about Jesus' crucifixion, and you have the traditional theological interpretation of that, and we have to distinguish between just Jesus the person and the integrating Christic energy. So for me, his life was what symbolically teaching us how to integrate this Christic energy. So our rational mind probably will think it's impossible for this man to get himself crucified, you know. So maybe if we meditate on that, we can have personal message on why that happened. But there's one thing that's in the story that's really there, is that the fact that he went in front of the authorities that would ask him to say who he really was. So with that question coming out, he said, "Are you the Son of God?" And so his life truthfulness, inner life truthfulness, was to say his truth, inner truth. And he just said, "You said it, and that's it." I mean, and he knew that by saying that, the authority wouldn't agree with that, and he would be condemned. That he knew, because if he was just and knowing that, I mean, any humanness of ours would say, "Well, I think I'm going to lie this time because I'm afraid of dying or going on the cross." So, so you have to be true to yourself, and that time he was true to himself, and whatever comes, and he just stayed true to himself, and the consequence was there. So once that is, I mean, there is meaningful things for our rational mind to think about, is that how divinity works through our humanness. And I think that was an example. So he had to stay true to himself. That was a consequence. But whatever came, and it made him resurrect to who he really was. And for us, if we say that, transpose that for us, I think it's the same reality. You can hide. You can say, "Oh, that's not me. I'm going to try to fit in. I'm going to try to be who I'm not."
I'm a spiritual teacher, right?
Sorry?
Like, I don't want to say I'm a spiritual teacher.
That's
For
an
example,
example.
like I'm going to a conference with different type of people. So I'm going to a conference that is not for spiritual people, where I normally go. I go with people that are in corporate. So my first thought was, oh, I have to change my banners. I have to change, because on my banner it says that I'm a spiritual teacher. So that was my first reaction. And then, as you said, I had to remind myself that I have to be true to who I am. And I will see if I belong in that conference or not. But to go to the conference and pretend I'm somebody else, it will not be aligned, it will not be authentic. So this is what I take from.
It's sometimes it's not that we want to pretend. Also, it's sometimes we're just hiding a part of us, but the part we're hiding is actually the best one, is actually the one that has to come true. So that's the hard part. But once it's done, I think it makes us more free. So you talk about getting us free in our business. I think that's one step to actually incarnate our true self, to just go with the flow with it and accept ourselves first. And that's the best loving gift we can give ourselves. And then we can accept when life goes up and down, and some people maybe will try to crucify us or throw us stones, and it's not, or another day applaud us. I mean, it goes up and down. That's the normal horizontal life. But the truth is, when you are within your truth, you just know who you are, and you stay in equanimity. That's an inner attitude where you say, well, what is, and everything is okay. And I'm just doing what I need to do, and the rest belongs to higher energy, let's say.
One of the questions I had and wanted to connect with you is because Jesus was crucified, and we're understanding from the human perspective the crucifixion, I find that in my clients, like I have some clients and people I talk to, that they are afraid to stand out because they are afraid of the crucifixion. So how can we take this and transmute it so it's not a fear of, if I show up, I will be crucified? Because we're humans and our ego wants to protect us. Our fears want to protect us to be safe. And I believe that we have a duty to keep ourselves safe.
Yes. Once you identify your true value, inner value, your soul value, this is stays. I mean, it's like a rock. You're on your rock, and then whatever comes. So if people wants to crucify, yes, your humanness will maybe cry or say what's happening, but I mean, the fact that if you know in your deeper soul that you have to do something and you just don't do it because you're afraid, I think you will find that you will be more deceived of yourself than being crucified because of, let's say, crucified, because of what you do, because you show yourself out. Now, the thing is one thing is that we put the emphasis on resurrection, but I think it was mostly on crucifixion, but it's mostly on resurrecting to who you truly are. And resurrecting to who you truly are means sometimes going over the duality of acceptance or rejection, and the cross symbolizes that, the unifying symbolism of just not being into those two extreme attitude of being on the top or being at the bottom, being liked or disliked, just being yourself and resurrect to yourself. So that's a true meaning of a refreshing way of being for ourselves.
Interesting. Yes, thank you. And another question that I had in my mind a long time, and I'm trying to understand, is why did Jesus did not defend himself? Like, why did he accept so? Like, I mean, I don't know the truth, but just from what I saw in the movies, he seemed to have resigned to his fate and not try to make a case or protect.
Yeah, like I said earlier, one of the main cause was that he had to stay true to himself. And there's a thing that our human rational mind think is that divinity incarnated, like Jesus was the image of that. You're on top of every law of humanness on earth. So you as a human soul has to incarnate your own divinity. But that doesn't mean that you will avoid all human laws or all human political stuff going on, and that you will be exempt of all this stuff, because that's your humanness, and you belong to it in a part as you belong to the divine. So that's what he really expressed. Both of it is at the same time.
Because I feel that we're coming here into this world with a purpose, right? And I know from the religious, like I haven't studied that much, that's why I have you to help me through this, that we, like in some religious context, is that we deny this life for the afterlife bonuses. I don't know how you call them in spirituality. And I feel that we have to live this life to the full extent and not just give it up because of some other bonuses in heaven. What can you help me with?
That's the let's say the theology of what the religious tendency would say about interpreting the life of Jesus. And in our humanness, we see, okay, we have to be crucified in the negative sense to renounce to our life to go to heaven. It's not that. It's just to take ourselves out of the way to let the divine into our humanness. That means it's not the divine that is crucified. It's the ego self that thinks he wants to run the business, the ego. But once you renounce, you only renounce to your ego, then the divine comes and let the process come in, and it's just to integrate more and more this energy that helps you to manifest the greatest of yourself. So
I see. I see. I think I'm understanding something. The idea is that even, let's say, like because I'm bringing it to the reality of business and who we are and what we're here to do. So let's say we're doing this interview and we're putting it out there and somebody will criticize it. It will only be our ego that would be bruised, but our spirituality that brought us together, like our divinity that brought us together to create this interview, to create the flow of energy that comes through us, will not be affected. We were true to ourselves.
Yes, exactly. When we just let the energy come in and we feel it energetically, like now I'm talking to you and I have this, not a goosebump, but it's kind of a flow of energy that's coming in. Now I say whatever is, and I accept, and I don't think about the outcome or anything like that. So that's the best way that I feel about an interview when I do one or anything else, is that if I felt this, I felt connected, and that's what counts. And the rest, it doesn't matter. And that's in a way how we have to be the happiest inside when we do our thing. So the rest, it doesn't belong to us. What happens, the outcome. But it's true that sometimes we are afraid. And when I talked the first time on an interview in French about really the interpretation like that of Jesus, and it was such a I mean, a big step for me. It's bizarre, but I mean, I studied it so long, but it was bizarre because I knew that I was afraid of saying what I was thinking. And I saw a commentary of somebody that was like mostly a dogmatic religious, that he said something, and it made me a bit like, oh boy, that's why I was afraid, of doing that. And I had a nightmare of being crucified the night before, so it was related energetically, that I was like kind of persecuted energetically. So energetically, sometimes people do that to you. So what we can just release it and take it as a higher integration of energies within us that make us stronger. We have to build our spiritual body, and our spiritual body is our soul. And when this is constructed with our inner force and inner strength of Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc was very strong internally because she could stand for her truth, and she knew that whatever had to come, but she had to do what she did. So when we have examples like that, we see that's the heroic way of being that brings us to stand for who we truly are.
Well, yeah. But one of the things that I would like to make a reality, or to find ways where we can be in the truth and not be sacrificed, not be crucified, not be hanged. Like, I know that is of the past. Like, I know this, yeah. That's past. And I also had a past life where I was, in a past life, I was a nun in a church, and they threw me out of the church because I was told I was, I stole something. So because I want to inspire as many people to step into their truth. And it's really hard from the ego perspective to say, okay, everybody who steps into their truth, they are either crucified or hanged or burned as they. And how can what is it, something, a practice or an awareness that we can do to not have that thought or to overcome that?
First, it's good that just the fact that we're talking about this is that because it's in the collective psyche, that if you go out and show your inner truth, you will be crucified. That's a bit the outcome, the less great outcome of it all is that it makes it difficult for us to say, because it's in a way, it's like if you say Jesus showed who he was and he was crucified, and if I show who I am, I'm going to be crucified. So that we have to change and say it's not about that. It's about staying in your inner center, staying to what you are. It was historically what happened. We're not at that time now. And what we can do the best to avoid this is to stop feeding on the ego that picks on others and picks on ourselves, to not show our inner light. So acceptance, tolerance with others is the first step to stop throwing stones with ideology, with all those stuff that brings dichotomy or difference in the world, and it's not true to love. It's not love. It's not from a love point of view. So I think that as a practical experience we could do is just releasing that fear and going to our heart and breathing in that peace within, and and changing that frame of mind that being who you are equates to being crucified, and changing that to being who I am makes me resurrect to the life that's within me. So it's a switch, an inner switch we do, an inner conversion.
Yeah. So can you say it one more time? This
Yes.
one. So being who I am doesn't lead to crucify, leads to me resurrecting to who I am. Did I get it right?
So just integrating the fact that showing who I am is not dangerous. It's a way of showing who I truly am, the essence of my being, and this is my personal reason of why I am here, and it will make me resurrect to my true life. True life is showing who you are, so you resurrect, and the other aspect is not there anymore. It's not a suffering, it's a glory.
Mm-hmm. I almost feel, and I'm looking, it's 222, which is like to me an angel number. I'm feeling that maybe we do a meditation. Like we haven't discussed that we will do a meditation, but just the way we speak, I almost feel like I want you to take us into the heart. I want you to take us into the, because maybe more talk, it's just talk, but if you actually can take us, and I'm crossing my legs, I'm getting ready.
Okay.
If you can take us into a meditation where we integrate this knowingness.
Okay, so just breathe in deeply, and after, just breathe out with the mouth and let it go all tension, letting go all tension. And
Yeah, so I want everyone watch this meditation with us. I'm feeling heat, so I'm already feeling energies moving.
yes, so let it be a meditation to receive the inner strength of showing who we are and leaving the little coward inside of us aside, and just holding his hand and say, there's no danger there. It's okay. There's no problem. You can be who you are. And accepting who you are totally is the greatest gift you can give yourself. And while breathing, just going into your heart and seeing that the beat of your heart is a place of knowingness, of truthfulness, of new energies, of new possibilities, a place to resurrect to your true self and let go of the aspect of us that is of fear. And just breathe in that energy and receiving and opening our heart to receiving the superior energy of the divine, that is the source of the source, the light of the light, the love of the love, and being confident that then when you are in that space, you are whole and held by the universe. So everything is safe for you.
This feels
And
good.
accept your greatness. And just breathe in. And you can just come back with gratitude.
It's beautiful. And what is interesting is that I was afraid that the phone will ring.
And you brought it in.
I told you to turn off your phone, but I forgot to turn up mine.
Okay.
And exactly at the moment where you were saying to let go, the phone rang, and
Oh, it was at that part? Okay. I didn't notice.
And it was very interesting how then I had to have the acceptance that everything is perfect, even if the phone rang. It was very, very interesting how I had to let go of wanting to control the phone and just be in the meditation. So it's always interesting.
For our business persona, everything has to be perfect.
And yes, that's one of the biggest things, that if we want everything to be perfect, we'll never do anything. And that's the purpose, right? Because we want everything to be perfect, so then we will not be judged, we will not be thrown stones at, and that's the reason for which we want to be perfect. So it's very fitting with the topic of the day. And when you're mentioning earlier throwing the stones, this is one of my encounters with Jesus. He kept recurring in my dreams, telling me to teach people not to throw stones. And this is why part of my work, I do the becoming truly free. So like releasing the judgments and the need for criticism, and releasing everything that happened in the past with the parents, with the family of origin, so we're not throwing stones. So it was very interesting.
Yeah.
So
at us sometime.
Go ahead. What did you say?
Sometimes the stones we throw at us.
Oh, those are the most terrible, yes.
Yeah.
And and being kind to ourselves, it's definitely, and maybe that's where, the way you said, if we accept the divinity within us, you wouldn't throw stones to the divinity, right?
Exactly.
So do you have a thought
to others?
to other people? Do you have a thought that we conclude this? Anything from what we talked? Is there anything that you want to leave with people for them to consider or meditate on or think about?
Yeah, I could conclude with if we surpass our fear of success or not success or whatever, we will access our treasure of our true potential, our true self. So it's like gaining our own self. So that's the main aim of our life anyway. So not being identified with our lower self and become of service to a divine life force within us and outside us that we want to cooperate with. Doing this path is the biggest and highest aim, and it's actually our birthright. So why don't you take your birthright to just do that?
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Christina. And tell people that would want to connect with you how they can connect with you.
Well, they can connect with me. My site is in French, but they can connect with me with my name, Christina Sergi, on Facebook, and I can meet people one-on-one by Skype, and I will keep you in. I will keep in touch for when I have something coming out with my book that I'm translated in English. It's related to soul alignment, so I can't wait to do that. So I'm gonna hang around.
Yeah, and you can do the soul alignment sessions in English on Skype if it's
Yes,
needed.
that's it. I do private soul alignment session. So these it can be a private consultation, but I do also reading of soul for your own soul alignment to be even more in your own power in your life. So it helps you to clean stuff that you don't need anymore and just go on with your integration of your divine self.
And with the soul alignment, you go through all the chakras. I don't know.
For the there are two main things. You can do a cleaning with the chakra, yes, but I was talking about the soul alignment reading. That was more like into deeper stuff that you have struggling with for most of your life. Often you were giving an example of a past life you had, but sometimes these blockages have their impact in the life now. And
this is how I found out about the past life, because I had an example in this life and I was questioning why is this happening, and I was led to the similar situation in a past life. So like trying to clear, and that is a pattern in my life that keep repeating until I release.
Oh yes, but it can be strong sometimes. Sometimes it really creates big blockage. But our when we incarnate with that kind of trauma, it's a past trauma. And when we incarnate, our soul will push us to confront this fear or to not touch that trauma that we had before. But in a way, we're destined to just heal in our life those past traumas. So,
and do you help people with this? Do you help people?
Yeah, there are some readings that I can do that help people to connect to past life experience. But what is important is also present moment, what they are living and how to transcend it. But when you go into your inner connection of your soul, things go quicker and you can surpass much more easily stuff like that, because often it's the ignorance of ourselves that bring us into the suffering, mechanical suffering. So it helps us really to transcend.
And what I wanted to, the last question, because it just came to me, is how did you, Christina, integrate the Christic energy into your life?
Oh boy. Have an hour? No, I'm going to try to make it short. It's just that it's a process. It's something that is always ongoing. So you always do it when you first connect to your soul, your own inner self. And then you just try to put yourself aside, your ego self aside, and let the higher energy work with you. So you invoke them and you let them help you, and you see the result, and you will experience differences in your energy. So you know that you have spiritual parents, spiritual guidance. so you connect with them. Like in real life, you have to connect to receive. So same thing.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I hope if you enjoyed this video, you connect with Christina, you ask her questions if you have to clarify more, or if you want to connect her for a session for the soul alignment. She's a beautiful person. Today I saw on Facebook, Christina, that we've been friends for 3 years. Today, from all the days, Facebook, like we had this interview schedule, Facebook sent this message that we have been friends for 3 years. So on April 5th, 3 years ago is when we met. And I thought, what a synchronicity. Like today we have the interview and today we have 3 years. So happy anniversary to us.
Yes, great. Fantastic. It was really nice talking to you, Irina. Thank you for all what you share. Great work.
Thank you. Take care and bye everyone.
Bye-bye.